Meet Margaret, a lively 68-year-old who once felt burdened by the clutter and chaos in her home. After years of holding on to things that no longer served her, she decided to let go of 99% of her stuff. Margaret's journey wasn't easy, but it changed her life in ways she never expected. Today, she's thriving, and she's here to share the lessons she learned along the way. In this video, you'll discover how simplifying your life can bring more joy and freedom, just like it did for Margaret. 1. Margaret's story begins in a house filled with memories, both beautiful and overwhelming. At 68, she found herself surrounded by things she no longer needed or used. For years, she clung to possessions, convinced that they held value or meaning. But the clutter weighed her down emotionally and physically. Margaret's journey toward simplification started with a small, daunting decision: to let go of nearly everything. It wasn't easy, but the rewards have been beyond her expectations. Let's dive into how simplifying your life can help seniors like Margaret find clarity, joy, and peace. One of the biggest challenges Margaret faced was the overwhelming feeling of being trapped by her belongings. She had been holding on to things from her past: old furniture, dusty photo albums, and a collection of knickknacks that had long since lost their significance. Each item seemed to represent a memory, and Margaret feared losing the past if she let go of them. One day, she realized that the clutter wasn't preserving her memories. It was keeping her stuck. It felt like a weight she couldn't shake off, mentally and physically. Margaret took the first step by sorting through a small section of her living room. It was overwhelming at first. How could she part with things that had been with her for years? But as she sorted through her possessions, she started asking herself, does this item truly add value to my life? The answer, more often than not, was no. For seniors who might be facing a similar challenge, starting small is key. You don't have to declutter your whole house in one day. Begin by focusing on one area at a time, such as a drawer or a single shelf. Start with items that are easy to part with, like old magazines or expired documents. This approach not only helps avoid overwhelming feelings, but also builds momentum for bigger tasks ahead. As Margaret learned, tackling one small area at a time will make the entire process feel more manageable. Letting go of things can feel like a loss at first, but it's also a gain. Margaret soon discovered that by releasing what no longer served her, she was creating space for new experiences. With every item she parted with, she felt a sense of freedom. The more she let go, the lighter she felt emotionally, and the more she enjoyed the simple, peaceful environment she was creating. The positive impact of simplifying her surroundings was clear. It gave her more time and energy to focus on what truly mattered: her health, her relationships, and her personal happiness. After Margaret made the decision to downsize her belongings, she realized that it wasn't just about getting rid of things. It was about shifting her mindset. For years, she thought her possessions defined her, but as she looked around at the things she had kept for so long, she began to question their real value. Some of these items were weighing her down emotionally, while others had become mere decorations, serving no real purpose. Margaret's biggest breakthrough came when she realized that her true wealth didn't come from possessions. It came from experiences, relationships, and her well-being. She started to focus on what really brought joy to her life: spending time with family, engaging in hobbies, and embracing new activities. The more she let go of physical possessions, the more she was able to focus on the richness of life beyond material things. For seniors, the process of letting go of belongings can be a powerful opportunity for growth. Take a moment to reflect on the things that truly bring you joy. It might be a photograph of your children, a keepsake from a meaningful trip, or even a cozy blanket that makes you feel safe and loved. Let these items remind you of what matters most, and consider parting with things that don't align with your values. To make this process easier, try focusing on one area of your life, your home, your wardrobe, or your daily routine, and think about how you can simplify it. You don't need to part with everything, just the things that no longer bring happiness. Margaret found that embracing minimalism wasn't about giving up things, but about creating space for what truly mattered. For seniors, this shift in mindset can have a profound effect on mental clarity and overall well-being. Simplifying doesn't mean losing your identity. It means finding freedom from the things that no longer serve your best interests. By focusing on what truly brings value to your life, you'll discover that happiness doesn't come from what you own, but from how you live and who you share your life with. One of the hardest parts of Margaret's journey was dealing with the emotional attachment to her belongings. Letting go of things felt like letting go of memories, and for someone who had lived a full life, that was hard to do. But Margaret soon realized that she wasn't losing her memories. She was freeing herself from the burden of holding on to the past. At first, the process of sorting through items brought up feelings of guilt and sadness. Margaret thought about the family heirlooms she had inherited, or the old furniture she had cherished for years. However, she slowly began to understand that memories aren't tied to things. The love and experiences behind the items were still with her. By letting go, she made space for new memories to be made. For seniors, emotional attachments can make the decluttering process especially difficult. But it's important to remember that the value of your life's experiences isn't held in material things. Try focusing on the emotional benefits of letting go. Ask yourself, what's more important, the item itself or the memories I hold dear? You can take a picture of an item before letting it go if you feel the need to preserve it, or find a meaningful way to pass it on to someone who will appreciate it. The process might be emotional, but it's also empowering. By taking one small step at a time and gently releasing attachments, seniors can create a home environment that truly nurtures their emotional well-being. Margaret found that every item she parted with brought a sense of peace and a new opportunity to connect with her present life. The emotional weight of clutter is real, but it can be released, giving you the freedom to enjoy life more fully. 2. As Margaret continued her journey of downsizing, she realized that simplifying her life wasn't just about the physical space in her home. It was also about creating mental and emotional space. The less she owned, the more room she had for new experiences, relationships, and personal growth. For seniors, embracing this shift can bring a fresh perspective on how to live more fully, regardless of age. Let's explore how simplifying your space can help you focus on what truly matters: your health, happiness, and well-being. The second challenge Margaret faced was learning to let go of her attachments to routines. For years, she had a set way of doing things: meals, errands, and even how she spent her free time. But as she decluttered her space, she realized that some of her routines were no longer serving her. They had become habits, not purposeful actions. It was time to rethink how she spent her days. One of the first changes Margaret made was simplifying her daily routine. Instead of getting bogged down by unnecessary tasks, she focused on what brought her joy and fulfillment. She started waking up earlier to enjoy a quiet cup of tea and a morning walk, rather than rushing through her day. Margaret also found new hobbies, things she had never had time for before. Whether it was learning a new skill, like painting, or simply enjoying more time in nature, she began to savor life's simple pleasures. For seniors, simplifying your routine doesn't mean doing less. It means doing more of what truly matters. If you feel overwhelmed by your daily tasks, try focusing on one or two activities that make you happy. Maybe it's gardening, reading, or spending time with loved ones. By prioritizing the things that nourish you, you can create a routine that energizes you rather than drains you. As Margaret learned, a simple, intentional routine can lead to greater satisfaction and peace of mind. Another realization Margaret had was that simplifying her life also meant letting go of old expectations about what should be. For many seniors, there can be pressure to live up to certain standards, whether it's maintaining a perfectly tidy home, staying socially active, or keeping up with family traditions. These expectations can create unnecessary stress and keep you from truly enjoying life. Margaret decided to redefine her own expectations. Instead of focusing on what she should be doing, she chose to do what felt right for her. If she wanted to rest for an afternoon, she allowed herself to do that without guilt. If she didn't feel like attending every family gathering, she gave herself permission to say no. Margaret realized that embracing her own needs and desires, without judgment, was an essential part of her happiness. Seniors often face societal pressure to keep up with certain standards, but it's important to remember that your happiness is what matters most. Letting go of unrealistic expectations can be incredibly freeing. Start by thinking about what you really want from life, not what others think you should do. It's okay to prioritize your well-being and choose what feels right for you. Letting go of these pressures allows you to live a life that's authentic and joyful, just as Margaret did. As Margaret continued her journey, she discovered that simplifying her life wasn't just about decluttering her home. It was about learning to let go of old beliefs and habits that no longer served her. For years, she had held on to the idea that possessions and busyness were signs of success. But now, she saw that real success was about peace, joy, and connection. She found that by simplifying her space and her mind, she was able to create a life that felt lighter and more fulfilling. For seniors, simplifying your life can feel like an act of self-care. It's about creating space for what truly matters, whether that's enjoying time with friends, focusing on your health, or simply relaxing in a calm environment. The process might feel intimidating at first, but as Margaret learned, it's an empowering choice. You don't have to hold on to everything. By letting go of things, you're making room for what's more important, your happiness and peace of mind. As Margaret continued to embrace simplicity, she found herself living a more vibrant life. She spent less time managing possessions and more time doing things that made her feel alive. Whether it was taking a yoga class, visiting a nearby park, or reading a book in her cozy chair, she learned to appreciate the simple moments that made life worth living. And she realized that by letting go of the past, she was giving herself the freedom to fully enjoy the present. Another breakthrough Margaret experienced was the realization that simplifying her home wasn't just about getting rid of things. It was about creating a space that reflected her true needs. She began to think more intentionally about the items she chose to keep. What items brought her joy or helped her feel comfortable? What pieces were essential to her daily life? By asking these questions, Margaret was able to curate a home that felt calming, organized, and truly hers. For seniors, creating a space that supports your well-being is vital. Start by assessing your home and thinking about how it can best serve your needs. Are there areas that could be made more accessible or comfortable? Perhaps it's time to reorganize your furniture, remove items that clutter your space, or add pieces that bring you joy. Margaret's home was transformed into a sanctuary where she felt safe, peaceful, and able to relax. Seniors often face challenges when it comes to maintaining a home that supports their physical and emotional needs. But with a few thoughtful changes, you can create a living environment that nurtures your well-being. Keep things simple, functional, and personalized to your preferences. Margaret's story shows that it's possible to create a space that not only looks good, but also supports your physical health and mental peace. By now, Margaret had experienced the power of simplifying not just her belongings, but also her mindset and routines. She had learned that happiness isn't tied to the number of things you own or how busy you are. It's about creating a life that reflects your true self. And for seniors like Margaret, this journey of simplification can lead to greater independence, peace, and fulfillment. As you continue your own journey towards simplifying your life, remember that it's okay to take small steps. Whether it's letting go of a few items, adjusting your routine, or redefining your expectations, each step brings you closer to a life that feels more joyful and less burdened by unnecessary stress. Margaret's story proves that by embracing simplicity, seniors can create a more meaningful, balanced life, one that's focused on what truly matters. 3. By now, Margaret had experienced a sense of freedom that came with simplifying her life. Her space felt lighter, her routines were more intentional, and her expectations had shifted to focus on what truly brought her joy. But there was one more challenge that loomed large for Margaret: the fear of loneliness. As she spent more time on her own, the initial relief she felt from decluttering and simplifying started to be overshadowed by moments of isolation. For many seniors, loneliness can be one of the most difficult emotions to navigate, especially when living independently. Margaret realized that while solitude could be empowering, it was also essential to create a balance between alone time and meaningful social connections. She had to remind herself that it was okay to seek companionship and that connecting with others didn't mean giving up her independence. In fact, it enhanced her life in unexpected ways. Margaret began to explore local community centers, where she found events that sparked her interest, from painting classes to nature walks. These activities helped her find like-minded individuals, some of whom became close friends. For seniors, it's easy to feel disconnected, especially if family or old friends live far away. But building a social network, even on a small scale, can bring a sense of belonging and community into your life. Try exploring local clubs, hobby groups, or even online communities where you can share your experiences and find new connections. Reaching out doesn't mean compromising your independence. It's about enhancing your quality of life with friendships that support and uplift you. Margaret's story shows that a little effort in seeking social connections can pay off in big ways. Along with reconnecting with others, Margaret realized that her sense of purpose had also shifted. For much of her life, her role had been defined by her responsibilities: raising children, maintaining a career, and caring for others. But now, as she embraced her independence, Margaret needed to rediscover her sense of purpose, separate from the roles she had played for so many years. This was an emotional and personal challenge, but it also opened the door for growth and new opportunities. Margaret began to explore activities that gave her a sense of fulfillment. She started volunteering at a local animal shelter, something she had always wanted to do, but never had the time for. Helping others gave her a renewed sense of purpose and deepened her connection with her community. She also took up gardening, cultivating a small vegetable patch in her backyard. Margaret found joy in nurturing the plants and watching them grow. Her sense of accomplishment wasn't tied to a specific job or task. It was rooted in the satisfaction of living in the moment and finding fulfillment in her own way. For seniors, rediscovering purpose is essential for well-being. If you're not sure where to start, try asking yourself what activities or causes ignite your passion. Volunteering, learning new skills, or taking up creative hobbies can reignite that spark of purpose. By shifting your focus from what you should be doing to what you genuinely enjoy, you open yourself up to new avenues for personal growth and happiness. Margaret's experience shows that it's never too late to find purpose and meaning, even when your life has changed in significant ways. Margaret also learned to appreciate the beauty of solitude in a new light. Initially, The idea of being alone felt daunting, and she feared it would make her feel isolated. But as she let go of her possessions and simplified her life, Margaret began to see solitude as an opportunity for self-reflection, personal growth, and creativity. She discovered that time spent alone didn't have to be lonely. It could be a precious opportunity to focus inward, explore new hobbies, and enjoy the freedom to do whatever she pleased. Through this process, Margaret found comfort in activities like reading, journaling, and taking walks in the park. These moments of solitude became her sanctuary, a time to recharge and reconnect with herself. She realized that time spent alone didn't mean she was lonely. It meant she had the space to reconnect with what truly mattered to her, without distractions or obligations. For seniors, embracing solitude can be an empowering choice. Instead of fearing loneliness, try reframing your perspective. Solitude doesn't have to be isolating. It can be a valuable time to focus on self-care, pursue hobbies, or simply relax without the pressures of daily life. Use this time to cultivate a deeper connection with yourself, just as Margaret did. The key is to find joy in your own company and to embrace the peace that comes with being alone without feeling lonely. The challenge of loneliness wasn't the only emotional hurdle Margaret had to overcome. As she sorted through her belongings, she had to face memories, old keepsakes, photographs, and gifts from loved ones. These items held sentimental value, but they also carried the weight of the past. Margaret found herself clinging to these items because they were symbols of who she had been, and letting go felt like losing a part of herself. But as Margaret continued her decluttering process, she realized that holding on to physical items wasn't the only way to preserve memories. The true essence of her past was not in the things she owned, but in the experiences, relationships, and lessons she had learned. By letting go of material possessions, Margaret made room for new experiences, and in doing so, she created new memories and new ways of connecting with others. For seniors, it's natural to have emotional attachments to things that remind us of our past. But it's important to remember that memories live within us, not in objects. If you find it difficult to part with things, try focusing on the memories and emotions tied to them instead of the items themselves. Keep a photo album or create a scrapbook to hold on to the essence of those moments. Margaret's experience is a reminder that by letting go of physical clutter, we can make room for new memories and meaningful connections in the present. As Margaret continued her journey of simplifying her life, she found herself more at peace with the changes she had made. She was learning to let go, not just of things, but also of old emotional attachments that had held her back. By facing her fears, whether it was loneliness, letting go of the past, or embracing solitude, Margaret realized that living independently didn't mean living alone. It meant living with intention, focusing on what truly mattered, and finding new ways to connect with herself and others. For seniors, embracing the journey of independence and simplicity can be transformative. As Margaret's story shows, it's possible to create a life that is fulfilling, connected, and joyful, even in the face of challenges. By taking small steps each day, seniors can build a life that reflects their true needs, desires, and values. This process of self-discovery and growth is a lifelong journey, but it is one that offers endless rewards. 4. Margaret's life had become more fulfilling, but there were still some lingering challenges that she had to face. One of the biggest realizations for her was that her journey wasn't about perfection. It was about progress. The road she traveled had its bumps, but each step forward made her feel more grounded in her independence. A big challenge she hadn't fully addressed yet was taking charge of her health, particularly in terms of staying physically active. As we age, it's easy to let health take a back seat, but Margaret knew that maintaining an active lifestyle was essential for her well-being. Many seniors face similar struggles with staying active. For Margaret, the challenge wasn't finding the time to exercise, but finding the motivation. She realized that incorporating physical activity into her daily routine didn't have to be a daunting task. It didn't need to involve a gym membership or intense workouts. It was about moving her body in a way that felt good and sustainable. Margaret started by taking daily walks around her neighborhood. She found a local walking group that met twice a week, which helped her stay motivated and made the walks feel more enjoyable. Over time, she incorporated light stretching and gentle yoga into her routine. These simple activities helped her stay flexible, improve her balance, and reduce the stress she often felt. Margaret's experience shows that staying active doesn't require grand gestures. It's about making small, consistent choices that add up over time. For seniors, the key to maintaining physical health is to make movement part of your routine. Find activities that you enjoy and that fit into your lifestyle. Whether it's walking, swimming, or doing chair exercises, the goal is to stay consistent. Physical activity can greatly enhance your quality of life by boosting energy, improving mood, and maintaining mobility. Margaret's story serves as a reminder that taking small steps toward better health is a journey that doesn't have to be overwhelming. As Margaret continued to embrace her new, simplified life, she found herself becoming more mindful of her mental health as well. While decluttering and reducing possessions had done wonders for her physical environment, she realized that emotional clutter was just as real and often harder to address. Like many seniors, Margaret had a lifetime of accumulated stress, regrets, and worries. Letting go of old possessions had been an important first step, but now she needed to let go of the emotional baggage that had been weighing her down. Margaret started by practicing mindfulness, a technique she had heard about but never fully embraced. She began meditating for a few minutes each day, focusing on her breath and allowing herself to be present in the moment. In addition to meditation, Margaret also started journaling. Writing down her thoughts helped her process her emotions and work through any lingering feelings of guilt, fear, or sadness. These small changes allowed Margaret to create space for peace and clarity in her mind, just as she had created space in her physical environment. For seniors, it's essential to take care of your mental health in the same way you care for your physical health. Mindfulness, meditation, and journaling are all excellent tools for managing stress and promoting emotional well-being. Taking just a few minutes each day to check in with yourself and release negative thoughts can have a profound impact on your overall sense of peace. Margaret's journey reminds us that mental clarity and emotional healing are just as important as physical health when it comes to living an independent and fulfilling life. Another important area of Margaret's life that she had to reassess was her financial situation. Simplifying her possessions had helped her feel less burdened, but now she needed to ensure that her financial situation was aligned with her new lifestyle. Many seniors face the challenge of managing their finances on a fixed income while also maintaining independence. Margaret found herself in a similar position. She wanted to continue living comfortably without worrying about money. She decided to take a deeper look at her spending habits and made a plan to cut back on unnecessary expenses. Margaret began by reviewing her subscriptions and memberships, finding that she was paying for things she no longer used or needed. She also started cooking at home more, which saved her money compared to dining out regularly. As she simplified her finances, Margaret began to feel more secure and in control of her financial future. Financial stability is crucial for seniors who want to maintain independence. It's important to assess your spending, identify areas where you can cut back, and prioritize the things that truly matter. For Margaret, simplifying her finances was another way of embracing her independence. She felt empowered knowing that she had taken steps to secure her future and maintain her freedom. While managing finances and health were important, Margaret's journey wasn't solely about practicalities. It was about finding joy in the little things. As she let go of material possessions and focused more on herself, Margaret began to rediscover the simple pleasures in life. She remembered how much she enjoyed sitting on her porch with a cup of tea, listening to the birds sing, or watching the sunset. In the busyness of life, these small moments had often been overlooked. Now, Margaret made a point of slowing down and appreciating these quiet, peaceful moments. She found that by simplifying her life and focusing on the essentials, she was able to enjoy life in a more meaningful way. This newfound sense of peace and contentment was the true reward of her journey. Margaret realized that happiness didn't come from accumulating more things. It came from being present and grateful for what she already had. For seniors, embracing life's simple pleasures can be a transformative practice. It's easy to overlook the beauty in small moments, but they hold the power to create a deep sense of fulfillment and joy. Whether it's savoring a cup of coffee, reading a book, or taking a leisurely walk, these moments of mindfulness can help cultivate happiness and gratitude. Margaret's story shows that finding joy in simplicity is not only possible, but deeply rewarding. By the time Margaret reached this point in her journey, she had truly embraced her independence in every sense. Her life had been simplified, her health was prioritized, and her emotional well-being was stronger than ever. Margaret's transformation wasn't about achieving perfection. It was about finding balance and joy in the process. As she reflected on how far she had come, she realized that simplifying her life had given her the freedom to focus on what mattered most: her well-being, her relationships, and the joy of living fully on her own terms. For seniors, embracing a simpler, more intentional life can be a powerful way to reclaim independence and happiness. Margaret's story serves as an inspiring example of what's possible when we take charge of our lives. Let go of what no longer serves us and create space for the things that truly bring us joy. 5. Margaret had come a long way on her journey, but there was still one critical area of her life that she hadn't fully addressed: her social connections. At first, she was hesitant to reach out to others, believing that she had to manage everything on her own. She didn't want to burden anyone, and she was used to the solitude of her independent life. But as time went on, she realized that while independence was important, connection with others was just as essential for maintaining a healthy and fulfilling life. Margaret's turning point came when she attended a local community event. At first, she was nervous. She wasn't sure if she would fit in or if people would understand her desire to engage with them. But as soon as she walked through the door, something clicked. She was surrounded by others who shared similar life experiences, other seniors who understood the importance of independence, but who also recognized the power of community. Margaret struck up a conversation with a woman named Evelyn, and the two of them hit it off immediately. They exchanged stories, laughter, and advice, and Margaret realized that she didn't have to navigate life alone. Social connection is often one of the most overlooked aspects of aging independently. Many seniors fall into the trap of believing that they should be able to handle everything on their own. But the truth is, we all need support. Whether it's family, friends, or a community group, building and nurturing social connections is essential for mental and emotional well-being. Margaret's experience shows that making an effort to connect with others, even in small ways, can lead to new friendships, support systems, and opportunities for joy. The first step in building social connections is to put yourself out there. Margaret's journey shows that this doesn't have to be a huge leap. It can start with something as simple as attending a local event, joining a hobby group, or even reaching out to an old friend for a chat. Socializing can be incredibly fulfilling, and these connections can provide emotional support, a sense of belonging, and opportunities for shared activities that make life more enjoyable. As Margaret continued to build her social circle, she also realized that she needed to make time for the people in her life who truly mattered. For a while, she had been so focused on simplifying her home and routine that she unintentionally neglected her relationships. But Margaret knew that relationships were a key part of happiness and fulfillment, and she was determined to strengthen the bonds that truly made her life richer. She began scheduling regular phone calls with her children and grandchildren, reconnecting with old friends over coffee, and even volunteering for a local charity. These small efforts made a big difference in her life. She no longer felt isolated or alone. Instead, she was surrounded by people who cared about her and who she cared about in return. Margaret's story teaches us that nurturing relationships is an ongoing process. It's easy to get caught up in the day-to-day responsibilities of living independently, but carving out time for loved ones is an investment in your happiness. For seniors, maintaining meaningful relationships is vital to living a fulfilling life. It's easy to isolate yourself when living alone, but the reality is that social connections help prevent feelings of loneliness and depression. By actively making time for loved ones, whether it's family, friends, or even neighbors, you create a support network that enriches your life. Margaret's experience is a reminder that it's never too late to build or strengthen relationships, and that these connections are key to long-term happiness. Another area where Margaret made significant progress was in managing her expectations. In the beginning, she was often overwhelmed by the amount of change she had to embrace. There were days when she felt discouraged, thinking she hadn't made enough progress or wasn't doing things perfectly. But as she continued on her journey, Margaret realized that the key to living a happy and independent life wasn't about perfection. It was about progress and self-compassion. Margaret started to recognize that her journey wasn't a race. She didn't need to follow a specific timeline or meet arbitrary milestones. Instead, she focused on making small improvements each day. Some days, that meant taking a few moments to sit outside and enjoy the sunshine. Other days, it meant tackling a small task that had been on her mind, like organizing a drawer or making a phone call. Margaret began to celebrate these small wins, recognizing that they added up to something bigger over time. For seniors, it's important to manage expectations and be gentle with yourself. It's easy to get caught up in comparing yourself to others or feeling like you haven't accomplished enough. But the truth is, life is about the journey, not the destination. Each day presents an opportunity to make progress, no matter how small. Margaret's story teaches us that embracing imperfection and giving ourselves permission to grow at our own pace is a crucial part of maintaining independence and happiness. As Margaret approached the final stages of her journey, she found herself reflecting on the deeper purpose behind her choices. While simplifying her possessions and routine had been a powerful tool for reclaiming her independence, she realized that the real reward wasn't just in the things she let go of. It was in the things she had gained: a renewed sense of self, deeper connections with others, and a life that felt more aligned with her values. For seniors, embracing a simpler, more intentional life can lead to a profound transformation. By letting go of what no longer serves you and making room for what truly matters, you can create a life that is both fulfilling and meaningful. Margaret's journey shows us that, no matter our age, we have the power to shape our lives and create a future that aligns with our vision of happiness and independence. The most important lesson Margaret learned was that true happiness comes from within. While external circumstances may change, the ability to find peace and contentment in your own heart is the ultimate key to living a fulfilling life. As she continued to move forward, Margaret remained grateful for the lessons she had learned and the new path she had forged. Her journey wasn't just about letting go of possessions. It was about embracing the freedom to live life fully on her own terms. For seniors looking to embrace independence, Margaret's story is a testament to the power of transformation. It's never too late to make changes, take control, and build the life you deserve. Whether you're simplifying your possessions, building meaningful relationships, or focusing on self-compassion, the journey toward happiness is yours to create. Margaret's life proves that, with the right mindset and a willingness to grow, the best years of your life are still ahead. Margaret's journey shows us that it's never too late to embrace change and create a life filled with meaning and joy. By simplifying her life, building connections, and practicing self-compassion, she transformed her world. Now it's your turn. Start small, take action, and see how powerful these changes can be for you.